Hey guys, what's up? It's Graphonics here with the Ugly Canuck Gaming. We're here on the Division PTS Last Stand DLC. That's patch 1.6 upcoming for the Division. We're going to check out some of the changes that have been introduced with this patch. We're going to check out the exotic weapons, some of the gear set changes, the new gear set. We'll get into some of the more broad world changes. I'll discuss some of the changes coming to survival, and then we'll get into some of the PvE content for the Last Stand. And I can't promise anything, but we'll check out if there's enough time in the video, some of the new Dark Zone and some of the new PvP content. A little disclaimer there, I'm probably the worst PvP player on Earth. I tend to fold like paper, so no promises on any quality gameplay coming out of me for PvP content. First off, though, we're going to start off with these new exotic weapons. You'll notice that they're displayed in a different color, and the name is also displayed in a different color, and they've been labeled as exotics. So what this means is that they each get, as a third talent, a unique talent to the weapon. It's going to be highlighted in red. So for example, the Cassidy now becomes a burst fire shotgun with that 138k damage to the face. It's just going to be a monster finisher. Walk up, bang, bang, sort of like a coach gun. Not going to mess around with that. You'll also notice, if you can see it here, this watermark on the Centurion. This is one of the new exotic weapon sets. Okay, so the Centurion now is part of a set with the Liberator assault rifle. So you can see here, I don't know if you can make it out. The Centurion and the Liberator form the Free Republic set. And this is going to serve as an additional talent for each weapon. So pistols normally benefit from this expert talent and then another talent. But the assault rifle, this will function as a fourth talent, similar to what the Alpha Bridge set does now. So each shot with the Liberator will grant a stacking plus 5% headshot damage up until you hit the 200% headshot damage maximum. And then when you make that headshot, that bonus will reset and you'll begin stacking it again. And then that just seems like it's a talent meant to burn down your target until they're with a little sliver of health left so that you can finish them off with the Centurion. The set grants kills with the Centurion a 10% buff to the rate of fire on all weapons for 10 seconds. So again, burning them down with that increased headshot damage with the Liberator, popping off the killing shot with the Centurion for that rate of fire bonus, so you have an easier time stacking up that headshot damage again. Go into the special vendor here because it'll be a little bit easier.
How is my new favorite customer?
Next up, we have the Pecan. You'll notice that the talents on these weapons, the normal ones, have changed. No longer has the destructive talent, but instead that's been replaced with new talents, including this new exotic talent. Each kill makes next reload have 20% more bullets in its clip. So this is really good if you just want to keep spraying and praying. It's going to keep you spewing bullets onto the battlefield for a much longer time. I'm going to do the Historian after the Liberator just because I've already covered the Centurion. The Liberator has seen some significant changes to its talents. Much more crit focused, much more of one of those sort of, seems like it's going to be one of those more body shot focused, probably going to do really, really well with that Seeker, that new Seeker set coming in 1.6. The Meticulous talent is the exotic talent on the Liberator. I should note, this isn't actually an exotic talent. You can still roll it on other weapons. And I'm not sure how good it's actually going to be. On the PTS right now, they haven't introduced one of the key gameplay mechanic changes that they were talking about, and that's that in the next patch, they're talking about not letting you reload while sprinting. So having this Meticulous talent may be a significant gameplay changing talent, especially for PvP, where you're going to be able to run and gun at the same time. It's going to save you a lot of hassle. Again, this Free Republic talent with the Centurion and the Free Republic set going to serve as a fourth talent with the Liberator. And last but not least, I should note again that this talent will not benefit the Alpha Bridge set. Exotic talents do not benefit the Alpha Bridge set. This Pecan talent will not go into another LMG, despite how much we really want it to. The Historian. This is actually now a really interesting sniper rifle. Sort of historically, I have hated this gun. Reduced mod slots, lower bullet damage, not my jam. For those of you who like the Scar H or the M1A gameplay, this may be a good rifle for you. Definitely probably wasn't in 1.5, but with this new exotic talent, really interesting for skill builds. Talent is History Repeats. Each bullet embeds itself in the target and detonates 2 seconds later for 20% of your skill power. So this is obviously an explosive damage
Hey, catch you
source,
another time.
and it will probably, I suspect, synergize very, very well with the Demolition Expert talent. So when you kill a hostile with an explosion, you're going to increase explosive damage by 20 seconds. So you're going to get that kill, and then you're just going to load up everybody with individual bullets, and you're going to be doing a ton of damage with those explosive bullets. Now, one other thing that you should keep in mind is they're changing how skill power scales. So the new skill power soft cap, you're not going to see any diminishing returns on skill power until you hit the 450,000 skill power soft cap. So those explosive bullets are going to be doing a lot of damage if you're running something like a Tactician's Authority build. Speaking of, all those sets have received a little bit of love, especially Tactician's Authority, which has been made far more friendly to solo players. The first up, they have buffed skill haste generally. They've increased it by 100%. Doesn't look like they've done so for the set bonus, but I'm sure that will change in the future. They have changed this though. So when Tactician's Authority was sort of first introduced, it used to be a flat bullet damage requirement for you to increase your skill power. So your group would have to do 60,000 damage, and that would increase your skill power by 1%. That has been changed so that every bullet from your group will do a flat 0.2% skill power increase to a max of 30%. Much more friendly to solo players who can get that skill power up much more easily than if they had to do 60,000 damage. Again, sort of hit or miss. Sort of headshot criticals are going to do 60k damage, so a little bit friendlier to solo players, but again, not too much of a change. Predator's Mark has been a little bit of a controversial change, not because of any significant change to the set itself, but because of a change to how resistances will work in 1.6. In 1.5, a resistance actually indicated a chance to ignore a status effect. So say I had a 50% resist against bleeds. I would have a 50% chance to not be affected by any bleed that hits my character in 1.5. In 1.6, that resistance refers actually to a reduced duration of an effect and a reduction in the magnitude. So this Predator's Mark bleed in 1.6, when it hits a character with 50% bleed resistance, it's going to bleed for half the damage, and it's going to bleed for half as long. And that, combined with the fact that they're instituting diminishing returns, constitutes a serious nerf to this Predator's Mark 4-piece bonus. Additionally, they're changing the mechanics of bleed so that you can actually still sprint while you're bleeding, but there is still some snare effect in the form of a 20% movement speed reduction while bleeding. But again, serious nerf to the Predator's Mark, especially in PvP. Sorry about that, guys. It is the public test realm. It's a little bit overloaded because there is a lot of people checking it out today. I will come back when I get back in, and we can continue our discussion of the patch 1.6 public test realm changes to the division. Sorry about that, guys. I got kicked out due to a Delta error. This is the PTS, so we'll just continue where we left off. We're going through these sets, and we're discussing some of the patch changes to these sets. I will discuss the named weapons that aren't available here or in my inventory, just because I either got rid of the named weapons and didn't reacquire or never acquired them. But I will do that. I won't do that while I'm making you guys bored with no significant changes here to strikers or final measure. Really, just sort of same old, same old. Might see a little bit of resurgence. Reclaimer, however, is one that I'm actually pretty excited for. It's far more focused around the support station than it was before. It's no longer centered around consumables. So what it's going to do is it's going to increase range and duration now, and this fourth set. So what it means is the support station gains the benefit of the life support immunizer and ammo cache mods at the same time. So what does that mean? It means that when you deploy your support station, you're going to benefit from all of these modifications here, plus the master. You benefit from that all the time. So you're going to have the immunity to status effects, no more shock grenade worries, and you're going to have that infinite ammo, as well as being able to automatically reviving any allies in the affected area. Really, really strong healing skill. Really excited to see how that's going to out, especially in things like incursions. My only problem with the support station is it tends to lock down your group a little bit. It doesn't necessarily have that skill cooldown, so skill cooldown going to be a little bit of a factor there when you're running around with the support station. But overall, really, really strong changes, I think. I'm really excited to see how it plays. The defense set also getting some love. The changes haven't been updated on the 1.6 PTS, but this 4-piece set bonus is going to change. So it's no longer going to eliminate your chance to crit. Instead, what it's going to do is that when you have the 4-piece set equipped, it's going to eliminate the modifications on your ballistic shield. So it's gonna take away all of these. You're not going to get the increased health or health regeneration. You're not going to get the increased damage, and you're not going to be pulsing any targets that hit you. Instead, you're just going to be doing this base mod affected by skill power. So you're going to have a drastically reduced health pool and reduced damage increase and a reduced shouldn't be too much of a problem though. Combined with some of the other changes, it's going to be really interesting to see. They did change one thing though. They changed the talent cool headed to have a small internal cooldown. So if you have something like a 93R, which is a burst fire pistol, I thought I had one in my inventory here. Apparently I don't. Sorry guys for wasting your time. That cool headed talent is a little bit of an internal cooldown, but still, if you have that on your sidearm, it's going to be up basically all the time. No worries on there. If you guys watched Skill Up's defense set video, you're going to know that the shield was only going down to half health modified. So still going to have it up all the time. No real worries with that set. Definitely going to be one of the stronger metas in 1.6. Again, like the Reclaimer set, I'm eager to see how it plays out. Another change that's coming in 1.6 is they've tried to reduce the disparity between body and headshot damage. I did a little bit of testing earlier, and it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of difference. From 1.5, you're still getting about double damage from the head, and that's without critical hit or critical damage buffs or anything. So we tried that with the scan. About 8,004 there. 38,000, 50k crits. On PTS one, or sorry, not PTS. On the 1.5 official server, regular server, I was hitting about 63k with my LVOAC on headshot crit. So fairly significant perf there without the extra.
Any attempt to steal a weapon from a JTF operative
additionally, you'll notice these armor values on my gear are looking a little bit anemic. That's because they reduced the amount of armor available. They eliminated armor as a major attribute and replaced it with a significant health bonus. This has resulted for me personally in about a 50k nerf to my toughness, and it's significantly hampered mitigation. It's resulted in this monstrous health pool. I'll show you here. So you'll see that I'm hovering around 32% mitigation. On the regular server, I'm up around 55, so that's a pretty significant drop in survivability. But again, I have this more monstrous health pool, 270k. try and compensate that a little bit. It means that the toughness is going to scale a little bit more linearly. It's not going to get blown so much out of proportion by that toughness. It's also going to increase the importance of things like damage protection against elites, protection against elites damage bonus, things like that. Yeah, you know, it's. I did a little bit of playing around. It's not terrible, like it was before. It's still workable. Not not too happy with that one, but you know, we take what we get essentially. Another change that's happened in that regard is they've removed armor from mods, so you'll see that these have health bonuses now. Those used to be armor bonuses, again being replaced with a fairly significant health. Last thing, don't know if I mentioned it in the previous video, these new exotic weapons, the exotic talents will not benefit from the Alpha Bridge set, so the mass now an exotic, never complicated again. Sorry guys, the dream is dead. Let's get testing with some HVTs here while I go over some of the more exotic talents so that you guys don't have to watch me standing around in the boo. But I'll get started here while I'm loading in. The Medved, some of you guys may remember that the Medved is the named shotgun. I remember I got my first one in second incursion there. The new exotic talent on that is called Center Mass. And instead of shooting buckshot, the Medved will actually fire a heavy slug instead. Eager to see how that works because I'm skeptical with the accuracy on shotguns that it will perform very well. But on the other hand, if the accuracy is good on it, depending on the optimal range, you may see literally shotgun snipers starting to appear on the Division, which is just kind of fun. The Hungry Hog, everyone's favorite LMG, getting an interesting talent here called Glutton. What it does is killing a target increases your damage by 20% until you stop firing. Spray and pray, guys. Just spray and pray. That bonus also stacks with multiple kills, so if you're putting a 200-round clip in that Hungry Hog, you're going to see some significant damage bonuses towards the end of the clip. The Tenebrae talent now lights out. Destroying an enemy weak point resets skill cooldowns for you and your party. So blowing up those cleaner pouches and backpacks really gonna make a huge difference for group gameplay. You know, some people are better at it than others. RX Gaming and Skill Up are pretty accurate with those weak points. So those guys running skill builds are gonna see a lot of fun stuff coming. Sorry if the gameplay isn't really up to par here. I'm trying to play and read at the same time. It's a little bit challenging. Been over the Pecan, been over the Liberator, and the Centurion forming the new Free Republic set. The Valkyrie, which everyone knows is that little girl squirt gun SMG that we all love to hate. Now part of a new weapon set consisting of two weapons, the Hildir and Air, forming the Valkyria set. Each hit with the Hildir increases critical hit damage by 1% to a maximum of 100% critical hit damage bonus. The bonus decreases by 1 every second, and the Hildir as a weapon cannot critical hit, so you're going to want to build up that bonus, switch to the Air, hammer away with those crits. The Cassidy we've already covered. Urban MDR, that distracted talent has been nerfed, is my understanding. It now only provides a 10% bonus damage against targets affected by status effects. That's down from originally what was 100%. The Warlord, which is a named assault rifle.
Active echo beacon detected.
AK-47 archetype. Talent is now Play Rough. Damage taken is reduced by 20% whilst firing. The taken damage is applied when you stop firing. Makes you super tanky while you're shooting. Maybe if you got it with Meticulous talent, that could be okay. But again, basically, as soon as you run out of damage, if you're taking all that damage at once, you might be in for a bad time. I'll say that I'm not eager to test that weapon out. It seems pretty useful. but some people might want to check that out. The Damascus, which some of you may remember, is first high-end pistol that you can craft. That's probably the most useless talent in the game, but then again, it's probably the most useless weapon in the game at this point, since it's still locked at that 160 to your score, which is sad because I really like the model of that weapon. I thought it was really cool looking with that Damascus field. But anyway, the quick draw talent, it's unique exotic talent, and what that does is it increases your weapon damage with the Damascus for 2 seconds by 20% when the weapon is drawn, and after that 2-second period, the weapon damage is nerfed by 20%. Really get it out, fire off that one round, and switch your weapons back. Repeat as necessary, I guess. If you're using your pistol, I would assume that they're down to minimal amount of health. Up next, the Golden Rhino. This is the golden revolver, sort of like a crazy-ass Magnum. It has a stagger increase by 200%. It's going to stop people in its tracks, just huge hits. And last but not least, we have the Caduceus, which I think is a really cool assault rifle variant, especially in 1.6. What it means is each critical hit with the Caduceus heals you and your group for 1%. Now, I'm not sure if that's 1% of the wielder's total health or 1% of each individual party member's health. But we'll see on that. With these increased health pools, that's going to be a significant amount of healing. It's going to be, for those of you who have played WoW, this is going to be, for me, something like the Atonement Priest, the DPS healer. Really popular one for those who find it. Their heals might not always be as full, though, with Okay. On to some of the world changes. These are sort of just quality of life changes. You'll notice that if I can find one here, civilians in need will no longer just drop useless crap. They will give you target intel, which kind of makes a little bit more sense. But they will also still drop some item, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. I did one earlier. Dropped a purple M1, or sorry, an M9. So you're still going to get that useless crap, but you're also going to get target intel. A little bit more worthwhile to help us. Some of the changes coming to the survival DLC. Crafting pistols or golden sidearms in survival will no longer require division tech, which is good because those weapons are basically useless anyway. So we all know that we're just going to craft a golden M44 and go for action. But nonetheless, not needing that division tech to get your gold sidearm is good. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, also PvP survival. If you're queuing for solo PvP survival, you will no longer be put into games where there are groups, and you will no longer have the potential for grouping in survival. I see I got another delta here. Please bear with me, guys. I'm going to come back when I get back in, and we'll continue discussing the changes to survival, and we'll go into some of the PvE content. See you then.
Safe area.
Welcome back, guys. Sorry about the choppiness of the video. Again, I can't apologize enough. I keep getting delta errors. Started recording this actually at about 9 a.m. and it's noon here now, and I've yet to get a decent, solid video clip of it. So again, I'm sorry. 1,000 apologies to each of you. Doing the best I can. Where we left off was I was actually talking about the survival gameplay fixes, or changes that are coming with 1.6. And we left off noting that solo PvPers can now queue for survival without facing groups in the survival game. So in that new game mode, solo PvPers will queue, there will be no groups already formed, and you will not have the opportunity to group up once inside the survival game. So big quality of life changes there. Nobody likes to get run down by a gank squad. That's just not fun. So,
warning.
Good
Now
on them
exiting
for
the
that.
safe area.
Players queuing for PvE survival, you will no longer be able to loot and kill other downed players in the PvE survival mode. Again, doesn't really fit with the PvE nature of the that game mode, so makes perfect sense, I guess. You probably will still be able to loot dead, though. Again, sort of the nature of the game mode. Supplies available around the different spawn hideouts have been rebalanced. So I suspect this has to do with mostly that East 42nd Street spawn location. Lots of great supplies around that location. They're probably going to buff the supplies around the west side of the map, I suspect. But again, it may just be a nerf to that one location and all the others do the same. Because screw you guys. Last but not least that I'm going to discuss in regards to the survival game mode, which I'm kind of sad about, but there's a little bit of upside to it as well. We have that the updated survival caches. So survival caches no longer have a specific drop that weights toward weapons introduced in the survival DLC. So for those of us like me who are still trying to get their hands on like 700 carbon, our hopes and dreams are moderately dashed there. But the flip side to that is that the drop is now more generic and also has a small chance to drop those new exotics. So we're going to see a little bit of a better chance to see some of those more interesting exotic gear. Reviving players from a down state in survival will now cost a med kit. So, you know, I'm not so sure about this change. I understand why it's there. It is meant to be a balancing change, and I get that. But at the same time, in my opinion, this seems like it's punishing group play a little bit more than it already was in survival, because the supplies that are available in survival obviously are finite, but they're also not shared among group members, so it means that groups of players are actually having to farm basically twice as many resources as solo players to get into that dark zone and get to that extraction point. Making reviving your ally cost a medkit seems like it's making group play in survival still more onerous. That I think is a little bit counterproductive. So I'm a little bit split on that one, but at the same time I do understand why it's done. Okay, next up we have the underground, and this sort of affects survival as well. The experience-specific rewards are no longer... Sorry, XP rewards are no longer going to be shared. So the proficiency caches that you get after level 30 for filling that 400k XP no longer going to stack with things like the underground XP. Again, I'm a little bit split on this. I'm not sure how great the underground caches are. I would like to play underground and just double up on those caches. For me as a player who's got that 40, it's just sort of, it would be a bonus reason to go back into the underground. I'm not such a huge fan of the underground otherwise. It's a little bit repetitive. Again, I don't know. It makes sense, but it's one of those things a little bit chafed about. However, those exotics again can drop us a small chance from those underground caches. So a little bit of an upside there as well. Overall, I think this is going to be a really good patch. I mentioned before that the mitigation has been drastically reduced. I went from about 55% armor mitigation to 32-ish. But they have also balanced, it seems like, the time to kill and time to be killed around the new damage numbers and around new mitigation numbers. So it's not completely out of whack with what you would expect or what you're experiencing in patch 5. So just don't go screaming your head off at mitigation changes until you've actually checked out the PTS, or for those of you who are on console. You know, a little bit of faith in Massive might be warranted here. They do recognize that they made those changes in 1.4 and saying those changes to be done.
This is gonna be fun. You should block.
So I'm just finishing up this HVT here, then we will check out Lexington run to see how the group play works. Any of those people have the new exotic weapons. I would love to see one in action. I'll be looking at the other YouTubers and their videos. see those new weapons in action. We'll do some name bosses. See if we can grab one off. What I'll do is I'll finish up this HVT. We'll try a Lexington run just to see how that goes, and then we'll try and go into the Dark Zone and see those new Dark Zone North zones. The Dark Zone 7, 8, and 9. Hopefully I won't get trampled over too badly. My poor fragile ego will make me salty as shit. So, anyway, until then, guys, check you later.